Today's episode is brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by Joe Elliott. Now, Joe is not only a fantastic guitar player, he draws on his years of experience as the ex-head of guitar at the Guitar Institute of Technology and also at the McNally Smith Music College. Here's a few words from Joe about the course.
If you're tired of wading through hundreds of random guitar videos and just want to become a better player, Fretboard Biology is your answer. Fretboard Biology is a self-paced, college-level program that'll give you the right instruction, in the right amounts, and in the right order. You'll learn the same information I taught to thousands of other guitar players over 30 years of teaching in top music colleges. If you want to make real progress with your guitar playing, then sign up for a free 7-day trial at fretboardbiology.com.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Wakeling and you're listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. Thank you for joining me. This is the show that I produce in Sydney, Australia, where I speak to leading guitarists and guitar figures from all around the world, and also co-host the iconic series with my good friends Rob Rhodes.
Hey Matt, hey Gabor.
And Gabor Josika.
Hey Matt, hey Rob.
Great to see you guys. And in today's episode, we're talking about our favourite pieces of gig gear. Rob, I'm going to hand over to you. This is your brainchild. Kick us off.
Yeah, so the prerequisite was pick 5 pieces of gear that you use live in the studio, whatever, but it's essential or it's fun or completely crazy or you just can't do without it, you know, like so. I'll kick off with, these are in no particular order, but number 1 for me is a Klon style overdrive. And because it just pushes my amp in a really natural way. Yes, it can do a clean boost and it can do that edge of breakup push. And you can get, as Josh Scott at JHS likes to use it, as a high gain overdrive. So yeah, it's an essential piece for me because it just kind of elevates my amp sound that I'm already really into. And it just gives it a little nudge in the perfect way because it's that buzzword, transparent, all of that. But it doesn't change that core tone for me. And the hard thing in a gigging situation is when a pedal changes your core sound just a little bit too much. For the people that I used to have a KTR. I recently sold it. And I've experimented with clones recently, and I settled on the MXR Sugar Drive. I had the Ryra, and I just thought it was a little bit too gritty. And in the past, I've had the Soul Food, which I thought was almost the worst overdrive pedal I've ever owned. But apart from that, the MXR's been working great, and it works really well gain stacking with my other pedals, which is important.
And there is an LPD pedal in your future at some stage too. Once we finally get around to it, but it's not. It's still in there, right? It'll happen, but we need to get an acting gear.
What's LPD?
Lawrence Petros' design. There's he does a clone as well called the Embers. And that's it has Rob's name written all over it already. That eventually that will be with you.
What's funny about that is one of my favourite Mark Lizotte songs is called The Embers. And just a nice little tie in there.
Well, there you go.
All right, what's your first piece of gear, Matt?
Okay. It is the Madocaster, which is an early 90s Franken Strat, and it's pretty much the main guitar I've played for the last 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And boy, is it tired. So thank you. It's desperately in need of a fret job, but it's still playing great. It's so in the early 90s, I bought it as a spare guitar to my Yamaha Super Strat. It was sitting in Venue Music Parramatta, and someone had put it together, so it wasn't like a brand new guitar. It had a Fender Japanese reissue neck, a maple neck from a 57 reissue. Which I hated. It had reflex pickups, which were the UK EMG with a mid boost, which I loved, which was awesome. Pretty much I've changed everything on that guitar now. So I got a Warmoth neck in the early 90s. I didn't know anything about it. so much of this guitar shapes what I like about guitars, and I didn't know. So I got this Warmoth neck. It's got a compound radius. It had medium jumbo frets, and now that's what I really like, just because I've played it a lot.
Yeah.
Eventually put passive pickups in. I put the PAF Pro in, which I've mentioned on other shows. Seymour Duncan SSL1, which is a really vintage single coil. I didn't know what single coil I wanted. I asked Steve at Steve's Guitars. I don't know. What do you think? And I've loved that pickup since. So it's kind of shaped everything. So yeah, that's it. It's really beaten up. It's a legit relic. And yeah, the Metacaster. And I try and make every other guitar I play just sound and feel like it. So I think, what's the point? That said, very quickly, I've got two guitars that are right up there now too. I've got a Mark Goswell Strat style, which was built in the last year or so, and a Pat Keegan Telemaster, which is like a like Telecaster pickups in a Jazzmaster style body.
That's a cool looking guitar.
Yeah. It is cool. I've just got a new iteration of that. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
We'll put your special glasses on, people.
Yeah, so super cool. And the thing about those two guitars too, they're friends of mine. These people I've known for a while now, and yeah, so there's a nice emotional connection. But yeah, just that original guitar that I've played for so long, which the Warmoth neck didn't have a name on the headstock, and people used to say, "What is it? What is it?" So after about, I don't know, a few months of that, I got a Dymo label maker, and I wrote Matocaster, and people still look at it and they. Oh, yeah, right.
That's very Nash guitars of you there.
Yeah.
A little bit.
They make good stuff, Warmoth. They make very nice stuff.
Yeah.
Man, it's awesome.
Good quality
it's
stuff.
one of the original, Probably needs a fret job, but my friend and luthier, Gavin Moore, says, I reckon we could give it a fret dress. So I think I'll probably give it one more dress before those frets go to the big...
Fret heaven.
Fret heaven, yes. The big shop in the sky. All right, that's me. That's my number one.
Awesome. Gabor, what's your number one?
All right, well, I'm going to start off then with a guitar with really bad frets now as well. So I'm going to, my main acoustic gigging guitar, and it's one of those guitars where since I got it, and again, working in music shops, I haven't played a guitar that I liked as much. It's just one of those guitars I instantly liked. And it's my Martin OMC 28E, which is my main acoustic gigging guitar, which I reckon about 5-6 years ago, Mark Shipton, the guy who is sort of a local guitar repair luthier guy who does all my guitar work, is excellent. Probably, I reckon, maybe even more than 5-6 years ago, he said, man, those frets are... You can't do anything anymore. You need a refret. And I go, yeah, one day. It'll... And there's some massive grooves in there, but it still works. And I had a few months off during COVID where I could have had it refretted, but of course I didn't do that. So yeah, but I love that guitar. It's an OM shape. So it's that auditorium shaped, slightly smaller with a slightly smaller waist and thinner as well compared to a Dreadnought. OMC, which is a cutaway. So OM stands for orchestral model. Cutaway. It's the 28, which is sort of one of their construction-wise top models. Anything above a 28 is just fancier inlays and looks, but from a construction model, it's as how quality as it gets. And E stands for electric. And it was also, quick fun fact, it was one of the first guitars that had a Fishman Aura system in it. And it was the first year Martin decided on the 28s and above, they wouldn't cut into the timber anymore to cut a preamp into it. So it has the what's called the Aura Eclipse, which is the one on the sound hall, which everyone hated. But I've had a lot of people that are quite, well known in the Australian recording industry and world. At gigs that I played at, say to me, man, that's one of the best sounding acoustic guitars plugged in I've ever heard. Nice. And it's an amazing guitar. I absolutely love it. And that's sort of, my favorite acoustic guitar with very bad frets.
Cool. So you guys, I didn't even put a guitar in my top 5. It's hilarious. That's cool.
Well, you said anything, guitars, mics.
Oh, yeah. I know. Exactly.
And there'll be some other not guitar related things coming up.
Absolutely. So for me, number 2 is a bypass switcher. So programmable MIDI
Nice.
expressions out, like changes the channel of my amp. So with so much to do, I really need like a central thing to do multiple things in my rig. I've always just tap danced, and we've all done that. Yeah. But recently, with the workload of the band, doing the PA, mixing, and fronting the band and playing guitar, I really made a conscious decision to get, a central switching system that does all those things. So I have it. It changes the channel of my Mesa Boogie. So all with one switch. It changes my delay levels from low to, lead levels. It brings certain effects into my chain based on the bank that I have. So my talk box can always be on, and I just switch it in. Yeah. And Octavias and things like that, fuzzers, they can get switched out. So, yeah, that's been a kind of a game changer for me to be able to do that. Simply with one press of a button, I can go from a clean sound to, a really dripping delay, overdrive, stacked overdrive into the lead channel. So, that's one of my favorite pieces of gear. It just makes my life easier, like much easier. Yeah. Matt, number 2.
Yeah, pedalboard as well. I dig my pedalboard. It's fairly small. It's like 45 centimeters by 40. There's 3 analog pedals. There's a Crybaby wah. There's a Boss SD1 Super Overdrive, and there's an MI Audio Super Crunchbox version 2. Ooh. So that's the analog side, and then digital. I've got a Hx Stomp. Yeah, and which I love.
We've all
that
got
thing.
one, haven't we?
Yeah. With the Hx Stomp crew.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks to our friends at Line 6. That's right.
No one out there.
I've also got a Boss MS3, which I used for a long time for effects and loop switching. Yeah. But I'm just using it purely as a MIDI controller for the Hx Stomp, and it's unreal. Yeah. It's great as just a MIDI controller.
The Boss stuff is great because it's so super. You can program it to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to think when I had the MS3, when I was using it for the tones and for my analog pedals in the loops, I thought, man, it'd be cool just using it as a controller. Although until I got the Stomp, I didn't really need it. But in that, my main I can't live without would be my MI Audio Super Crunchbox. It's the version 2. And I had one of the really old ones, one of the 3-knob ones. And it didn't really get on with it, but the version 2 is amazing. So essentially, it's a Marshall in the box. Michael Ibrahim, Australian genius, he said it was inspired a bit by the Marshall Governor in that it had a dual gain stage, but he really took it to town. Yeah. A lot of people have said that the Jhs Angry Charlie is pretty much a Super Crunchbox tribute. Is that the polite way to say it?
Well, wouldn't put it past Jhs, yeah.
Yeah, and but what's cool about it's got 3 gain modes and it's got 3 compression modes. So between those, I can dial in. Like I like a lot of gain, but I like it to clean up if I wanted to. Yeah. And I don't like it to be too saturated, which is asking a lot. But you can dial that in. It's got a 4-band EQ, which is so good because you guys know what it's like. You play in a different room. You just need a little bit more or less of something. Yeah. And I can do that quickly on the fly without menu diving into some of my digital gear. So, Super Crunchbox. It's just the greatest overdrive / amp in a box thing that I've played.
I had one of those for a long time too. Yeah, it's a great pedal. And I had an MI Iron Duke, which is a fantastic amp too, which I only recently got rid of. So
yeah, wow.
All right. Nice one. So I think we're going to take a break and then we'll come back with Gabor's number 2.
Woohoo! And number 2.
He's Gabor's number 2 and viewer questions, hey.
This episode is brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by Joe Elliott, ex-head of guitar at the Guitar Institute of Technology and the McNally Smith College of Music. I was one of the beta testers for the course and can say as a music educator, I was really impressed by the logical sequence of learning. The course has also been endorsed by players such as Brett Garsed and Greg Cupp. For more details, check out the links in our show notes.
All right, we are back with our top 5 pieces of gear. Gabor, what's your second one?
My second, yeah.
See, I understand English.
Yes.
I've got a thesaurus here.
Yeah. We're whiz kid musicians. Okay, my second one that I wrote down is, I think it will kind of go towards a viewer question at one stage as well, but I think it's an essential pedal, which is, I think everyone should have one of these, and the world is a better place for these pedals existing, which is the Whammy Pedal.
If only people are responsible with them.
Don't be responsible with them. That's the whole point. Whammy pedals are all about using them at the most inappropriate times. That's what it's all about.
I agree.
I love the Whammy pedal. It's just one of those things. I think electric guitar boards, pretty much every guitar pedal board I've had for my electric guitar rig since the second half of the 90s, whenever the XP100 came out, the third iteration of the Whammy, when that came out, I bought one of those, and ever since then, I've always had a Whammy pedal on my pedal board, and I just can't go without it because I just need that pitch to bend, man.
Can I ask, Gabor, do you do anything with it other than an octave up?
Yeah.
Do you do like other stuff?
So I do,
because they do other stuff, but no one seems interested in that stuff.
No, that's half of it is the best stuff. So I do live I do probably octave up, 2 octaves up, and I do the 2 octaves down.
Yeah,
which is the kind of
Lonely boy
down,
Yeah.
that. But
yeah.
And Jimmy Page, if you watch the unleaded stuff. In Cashman, he used, that's sort of where I got the down from. He went 2 octaves down quite a bit in some of the stuff he played.
What was he using? He wouldn't have had a Whammy pedal, obviously.
Yeah, that was the Whammy, the original Whammy. I think he had in his big Pete Cornish board that he had. That he had for unleaded when they did the electric stuff with the orchestra in the studio. But I'm pretty sure it was a Whammy 1 in a massive black big Pete Cornish board that he had.
Rocking.
I've used it quite a bit actually. The pedal steel stuff on it in studio situation is great. Just for like a little thing in the background, just to do the bending from like a third to a fourth or something like that, or on the harmony settings. The detune is actually pretty cool sounding chorus. Mm-hmm. But
that is great. Yeah.
One of the best things to do in a live scenario, and again, for me, it's all about, in a live scenario, when you're playing covers, right? And all of us are in the world of playing covers, and you're playing the same crap, same awesome stuff, week in, week out. To me, and I was sort of the band leader kind of guy. Yeah. It was sort of, I was the guy organizing the gigs, and which is also when I used MIDI switches and loop switches like Rob did, because it makes life so much easier. But to me, making the other guys in the band enjoy themselves and laugh and have fun is a very important thing. Yeah. And one of the best things you can do is you just do the Whammy, the octave thing at very inappropriate times. But the other thing is, and it's awesome, you go to 2 octaves. It has to be 2 octaves, not 1 octave. You go to 2 octaves, and you randomly put it anywhere, like the treadle thing. You put it randomly anywhere, and you start playing whatever normal pentatonic licks you're playing, and then every once in a while you turn it on and off and on and off, and it does this weird, odd, totally atonal octave jumps, and it's great. And then you look at the other guys, and they kind of go, "What's going on?" And that's, to me, that makes this sort of stuff. So try that out, and it works with down as well. Not as much. If you do the down octave, you've got to play up quite high. But set it to 2 octaves up, any random position, and just kick it on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off quickly as you're playing. And you sound like you're a super shredder dude who may have some issues with playing in tune, but that's part of the fun.
I thought you were going to say a super shredded dude who may have some issues.
Well, yeah, issues in multiple ways.
Oh, that is
but
cool.
it's all I'm playing outside, man. It's like I know exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, number 3 for me is low output pickups. We kind of talked about this in the last episode with the PAFs. But after years of experimenting, I finally settled on low output pickups. So I'm talking 7K output P90s, like low 7s, no more than that. And same with the humbuckers, the PAF style output, no more than like around 8K is about my limit for a humbucker. Just because I've found that the tone of the guitar shines through, like to allow, because I'm changing guitars through a show, like what's the point changing between a Tele, a Les Paul, a Flying V, a 12-string if the core tone still sort of sounds the same? You know, like I want that character of the guitar to come out. And after, you know, I've gone through eras of high output pickups, you know, Steve Vai, Satriani, like Bill Lawrence, L500s, and all of that sort of stuff. And they all have their place. I'm not crapping on any of those pickups because they all have their place. But for what I do, the 70s thing, the crunch sound, it's not massively high gain where you still retain the character of the guitar. Those low output pickups and good low output pickups, like those Lola P90s, have just reinvigorated my double cut special. And I've had Gretches in the past that I just couldn't play any other guitar with that because they're so high output, the TB Jones, that yes, no doubt that they bring out the character of the Gretsch, but they were just so high output. It was almost difficult to get a clean sound or that edge of breakup sound from any other guitar when you'd set that up. So that's my number 3. Matt, what's your number 3?
My number 3, well, can I just say pickups? I'm with you, although I've put a slightly hotter output humbucker in the Matocaster because I've pilfered the PAF Pro out of that. So we were talking the last show about the PAF Pros, and my single coils are low output too, and I really like it. My number 3 is my trolley. It's my trolley. I often joke it's the best musical instrument I've ever bought. It's just a simple fold-up 2-wheel trolley. Got it from Bunnings. If you're listening in North America, it's like Home Depot, I guess. That's what we call Bunnings. And yeah, especially when I was doing a lot of weddings in the Sydney CBD, by the time you'd find a car park, you did not want to do 2 trips to your car. So
I'm all about one trip. I'm a one-trip guy.
100%. So on my trolley, which is not crazy big, I fit a 2x12 cab. I fit a 1x12 combo. I fit my pedal board. I fit my leads packer case. And then on my back, I fit 2 or 3 guitars on gig bags. Oh, and then I shove a 3 guitar stand on top of just all the junk on my trolley. Yeah. And as long as the angle of any hill is not too steep, I can wheel in and out of most gigs in one go. So
you need a little add-on to that too, Matt, because you need ratchet straps or Oki straps.
Oki straps. Well. I was going to say you need the Oki straps, don't you?
Can't have a trolley without them.
Straps. Yeah, I've kind of been doing it without it lately, but that's just a midlife crisis thing. I'm trying to be a bit edgy.
Some people get sleeve tattoos. Other people don't use Oki straps.
I think one might have flicked you at some point, and now you're a bit afraid of them. Is that what happened?
That's the real story. Yes, I'm not edgy at all. I'm afraid. I did have a metal zone. That was my midlife crisis pedal, though. Some people buy Ferraris. Some people try to incorporate a metal zone. All right, that's me. That's my number 3.
Oh, nice. Gabor.
Well, speaking of the metal zone, no.
He's got one for sale, folks.
There's one just over there. Okay, my number 3, my third one, is kind of a little bit lame, but I just really like it. My mixer, which is a QSC Touch Mix 16. I love that thing because it's back in the days, right? Back in the days of yore. Is it days of yore? Yeah, the days of yore, the olden days. I used to have a small mixer that I used to carry around for my solo gigs. And then I used to have a big mixer that I used to carry around for band gigs. Now, the QSC TouchMix 16, and I'm not sponsored in any way by them, it's small enough that I can take it to solo gigs. It comes in almost like a laptop case, right? So it's small with a touchscreen on it, but it has 16 channels in it, so I can do solo gigs with it. No worries, because it's not big. But if I do full band gigs, I can have up to 16 channels in it. It has 8 monitor sends, 2 of which have little preamps in it, so you can run your in-ears directly out of it. Nice. Which is killer. So, and then you can have a whole bunch of iPads or phones directly connected to it. So everyone can do their own mixes on their own iPads or their own. Most people have iPads now at gigs, in front of them. They can do their own monitor mixes, especially when it's in-ear monitors. They can, and you play at a venue regularly. You press store, done, and all you do when you get to the same venue is you roughly put everything in the same spot, press recall, and Bob's your uncle. So that's, to me, it's since I've gotten that, super amazing piece of technology.
Yeah, I'm the same, but I use a Soundcraft Ue 24R.
The rack,
so,
is that the rack thing?
Yeah, it's like a 4-unit rack thing, but it's same thing. It's got 20 mic pre's in and up to 10 auxiliary sends, as well as your left and right main outs. And that has been a godsend for me because I've always been, big mixer rack with compressors and EQs in it, and this does away with all of that.
And it's got all the effects in it as well. You've got reverbs in it, limiters, compressors, gates. Each auxiliary has its own full 32-band EQ, and it's awesome.
Nice, killer. Yeah, I agree. That's a good one to have. Matt. No, it's me, isn't it? Number 4.
Yeah. Should we jump in with a listener question?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, good idea.
All right. This comes from Steve Waxman. Now, Steve is Canadian. He's awesome. He's been involved in artist management and A&R work with major and independent labels. Steve helped me get Shane Verold and Philip Sace on my podcast. So I'm forever in debt. Both amazing guitar players. So really cool. So his question is, what is an essential pedal for everyone that everyone should have that's not a tuner? It's not a tuner.
Well, I think I've answered that question with my number 2. For me, it's a whammy pedal. Absolutely essential pedal for all before-mentioned reasons.
That was short and sweet. That was great. For me, this is really hard because you have to assume that the amp has or doesn't have reverb, a good natural tube overdrive, or channel switching. And always go to a pedal that can do more than one thing. So Gabor, that's the whammy's great for that because it can do crazy and it can do chorus. So, and if we're leaving out multi-effects units like the Line 6 M5 or Hx Stomp or Keeley workstations, Tech 21 fly rigs, or the Boss Core, I don't think I can go without a delay. So, I would go with the Boss DD500.
Ooh, okay.
If I was selecting a single delay, just so the fact that I can get delays, reverbs, and modulations out of it.
Yeah.
I can store presets, and I can also, at a pinch, do loops with it. So I could, do an acoustic gig quite easily with the DD500. My second choice would be some kind of dual overdrive, something that I can gain stack into the other side. So currently I'm doing that with a full tone GT500. But you could use a ZFX box of rock if you've got that Marshall style sound. But that would be my go-to essential pedal.
Nice. For me, I'm thinking some kind of overdrive, distortion. I ideally, I mean, I guess I'm probably going to repeat myself too. Like, the reason I like the Super Crunch box is that it can go super high gain if I want. I can dial it in to be really light. So it depends on what you need. And also, I guess I should mention too, it responds really great to the volume knob of my guitar. I'm always working that. So that to me is like multi-gain stacking just on the guitar, like how much signal I'm setting into the pedal. Plus, I love stacking stuff like Rob says. One thing I learned getting older and playing for a bit longer was that often a good clean sound has a little bit of dirt on it and can be far more dynamic and responsive than a squeaky, clean sound. Although that can be great as well. But I remember when I was young, I either had a really heavy distortion sound or super clean, and neither sound was particularly versatile. But what I'm finding these days, I could probably happily gig with just that Super Crunch box and something to stack into the front of it. So a Super Overdrive for me. So
it is cool, because I reckon if I took my Fillmore 50, my Mesa Boogie out with a foot switch, I could happily just throw a wah on the ground and use that amp with a wah pedal, and that's it.
Because you're an amp distortion guy, hey?
Yeah. But I'm not using it like that. I'm actually live, because I need the versatility. I'm using the clean channel, both clean channels of the Mesa Boogie, basically cloned of each other with one louder for lead and rhythm, because I mix the band as well. So yeah, which takes me. Oh yeah, go.
Oh, just quick round table. What was everyone's first pedal?
Mine was a Crybaby. Mine was a Jim Dunlop Crybaby.
Nice. Was that in the days when you could only get one Jim Dunlop Crybaby?
Yeah. GCB 95.
You didn't have the 45 signature ones that you have now.
Good. How about you, Gabor?
Well, for me, the first one I bought was the Zoom 505 multi-effects. But the first one, a friend of mine lent me, was the DS1. So the DS1 was actually the first pedal I've really ever used. But then the first one I actually bought, I think my parents maybe bought it for me, was the Zoom 505.
You are a 90s kid, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
What was yours, Matt?
Mine was a Boss DS1. Got it secondhand in 1986 out of the trading post. So it was an MIJ one. I lost the box. I sold it for $30.
He lost the box.
I've still got the manual, which makes me sad whenever I see it.
He's got the manual.
And because it was made in Japan, like now, like cash wise, I could have sold it for like 120 easy.
Yeah.
Easy. See, that was the next one I bought. So I was, a friend of mine lent me a DS1, then I bought the 505, and then I bought a DS1. So that was,
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, cool listener question. We're going to do one more at the end of the show as well.
Ooh,
so that'll be cool.
Stay tuned.
Back to you, Rob.
Awesome. So my number 4, and this is, I'll explain why, but my 2 Notes Cab M, this little box with the people that have the special camera.
Guillaume is the man.
After years of, again, having to play and mix and putting a microphone in front of an amplifier speaker, because I don't use modelers, this just enabled me to take away basically sound checking my guitar. Like, I know that if I get the sound I want coming from the amp, that the Cab M with the 212 open back high watt cab that I used in that, it's going to sound the same at every gig. Yeah. And I really only have to, depending on the room, I might just have to take some high end or low end away. But if I get my amp sound right on stage, I never have to change that. I never have to worry about it. The amp plugs straight into it between the head and the cab, and it runs straight to the PA, and it's always the same. I don't have to worry about the guitar mic if I'm really close to the drums, that it needs to be isolated or it's picking something up, or, I turn around to grab a drink and kick it over and don't realize. All of those things. So, again, it takes all of that worry out for me, and it's just been an absolute revelation. And I came up with the way that I came up with the sound that I liked was I just set it up in here and ran it into my DAW and went through every cab, and then just, that one sounds horrible, listening back through the PA, and then just basically got it down to 3 or 4 and then picked my favorite and went, well, that's the one. And then I bought a second one. So this is my backup. So it's cloned off the first one. So if anything ever happens and I need to get it repaired, I just put that one into my rig and away we go. So yeah, that's my number 4.
Nice.
They actually sound, just quick side note, they sound great even if your amp goes down. If you just plug all your pedal boards straight into it with the power amp simulation in it.
Yeah.
Even just that, power amp, because it's got cab and power amp emulation.
Well, that's the thing.
They sound killer.
Yeah, my backup rig is the Hx Stomp. I've got some, patches written into that can just plug straight into this.
Yeah.
So, I get that consistency. So, Matt, number 4.
Number 4. Well, as a young musician, I was notorious for having bad leads, no spares, not enough strings, not enough anything. So gradually I improved that sort of thing. So now I've got like a little Pelican-style case. I call it my leads packer. It's actually got spare power supplies, lead strings. It's got a little DV Mark 50-watt head. I've only blown that amp up twice in my life on a gig. They were the worst nights of my life. So that sort of thing. Now I've got the Hx Stomp, same as you. I've got a few things to do if the amp blows up. But in that little case, I've got a Rode microphone thing. I'm shaking into the mic for the people. If you can't see this, which you can't, you'll be able to hear it. It's a pencil case. And in there, I've got...
Hang on, let people guess by the sound of it shaking what was in it.
Okay, what's this? It's a string winder.
What's that sound?
What's this?
Oh, wow.
Bag of spare fuses.
Fuses, yeah.
For when I blow the amp up. Just stuff like that. Little Allen keys. Got a little multi-tool here. It's like a Swiss Army knife, except it's an Australian Army pliers multi-tool.
Oh, cool.
A mate of mine used to work in the ADF and got me that. So just stuff like that. There's some Panadol for when I'm rocking too hard. There's a nail, nice pink emery board.
Wow.
You know when you get to a gig and your nail's just a little bit long?
Yeah.
So it's not exciting, it's not glamorous, that pencil case, but it's just got lots of little things that make me feel like everything's going to be okay if I forget something or, if I need to fix something or whatever. So.
I'm very similar. I've got one like that, Matt. I've actually got 2 because there's the PA one that has spare Ethernet cables and iPod leads because they always break first, those little things. And then there's screwdrivers and Allen keys and all kinds of things. And then I got my guitar one that has 2 capos in case, one doesn't want to work. Well, one works good with the acoustic.
Spare capo is very important.
Yeah, picks and all that sort of stuff. So, well, I'm definitely with you there.
Yeah.
Gabor, number 4.
Number 4. Well, we've talked about it a little bit already, but the Hx Stomp. So for me, it has become just one of those things that it's just really, really good to have it there when you play electric guitar gigs. So I have a whole bunch of patches where I just use it for effects if I run into an amp. If there are some venues that don't particularly want you to use an amp on stage, I have patches where I have amp sims on it and can just go straight into the PA. If I feel really adventurous, I have some stereo patches even with 2 different amps on either side. Just, for when I feel adventurous. But you can do just about anything with it. And it's the routing options for how small it is are actually really quite powerful as well. I mean, you can do the thing, and I have done it before, where I've gone, you can assign the effects loop send as your normal guitar output. So it goes to guitar, bypasses all the amp sims and goes into your amp on stage for an on-stage sound. And then direct outs, the left and right direct out, have amp sim on it, and you go straight into the PA. So you can have an on-stage sound. You can do just about anything with it. And I think, especially recently, in the last maybe 2 years, the updates have gotten really, really good. The firmware updates, there's always some really cool new sounds that they introduce. The amps are getting really, really good. I found the last 2 firmware updates, particularly the Princeton amp that they released, and then the latest one, I forgot what it's called, but it's sort of their own take on an amp. Really, really good sounding amp sims. You can load your own IRs in it if you really want to do that sort of stuff, but I find the ones on there are usually pretty good. So yeah, to me, it's as a gigging musician who now went from a massively, stupidly gigantic pedal board down to a little Boss, what is it, the BCB 1000 pedal board. It's just an invaluable tool. I mean, to me, it can do just about anything I want it to do.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. I use mine so many different ways, from the 4-cable method to now I'm using separate modulation pedals and just running it into the effects loop for delays and reverbs.
Yeah.
But then for my acoustic gig, it switches in line with my switcher. So then I'm using it for boosts and modulations and delays just for the solo acoustic gigs. So it's super versatile.
Yeah.
It's amazing pedal.
Yeah. And the size of it, it's so small.
Oh, yeah. Great. All right, we're at number 5. So this one's like for the tech guys and I'll explain the reasons why I picked this. I didn't pick any guitars or any amps or really any specific pedals, but just from a gigging perspective, one of the great tools I found is a mic splitter. Now, you can get a single mic splitter, or you can get a rack mount 8, like a radial or a Behringer one that splits 8 ins to 16 outs, so 2 outs per thing. So what I use this for, it's essential for anyone who might have to do walk-in gigs with in-house PAs, or you use in-ears and you want to do your own mixes. The ability as a singer to be able to do my own monitors, it's an absolute lifesaver, because poor monitors can just destroy your voice quicker than Drano.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Drano's pretty quick as well.
Yeah, it is. It's so like, that's good. You need to call in sick, that's it. So I don't use in-ear monitors, but it's a really good tool. I know a lot of guys that use splitters to do their IM mixes. So you can mix your own send, and you don't have to stress about trying to communicate to somebody, getting your levels right, and then some overzealous person blows your ears out by, accidentally leaning on the iPad or the fader. So yeah, as a singer, the monitors are the most important thing to a healthy voice, and I just can never risk that to somebody else again. And when you've got so many other things going on, that communication is always difficult. So to be able to have a mixer, splitter, and recall, your EQ for your mic, that a mic splitter is great. And I've got a little single channel Proco one. So if I just walk into the gig and I don't want to bring my mixer and all of that, and I just want to plug my mic into the back of a monitor powered wedge that I know is going to sound good, I can just split straight off there and plug right into the back of a monitor.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. I can control my levels, whatever. But then I've got the 8-channel one that I can split my guitar. I can split the kick drum and all of that, because I really like kick drum in my wedge. I'm like weird like that. I don't want guitar in there. I just want voice and kick drum. And so I can make that happen for me and make any environment the perfect environment for me as a singer. So yeah, mic splitter, number 5.
Interesting.
Nice.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Matt Wakeling, number 5.
All right. Again, not very glamorous. These are my ear filters that I'm waving at the camera now. I've used ear filters on and off, but when I got what's my regular gig for the last few years, the Cold Chisel show, man, that's so loud. I remember walking into the audition, and the long-term bass player said, "Yeah, it's a bit loud in there, man." I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." And I'm like, "I know what loud is. I'm cool." Then they started playing, and I was, oh my goodness, it was loud. So, and I feel like the luckiest guy in the world. I get to play loud guitar every weekend, just about, which is cool. But I really need the filters because my ears get smashed. Or even on the quieter cover band, top 40 sort of bands, on a tiny stage when you're right next to the the drums, and there's a hi-hat right near your right ear or something.
Oh, the ride cymbal, that's always the one that killed me.
Whatever side, hey. So just stuff like that. So yeah, started using filters, and sometimes I've used just one. So if I'm on stage right, I'll put the left filter in. But even if I do that, by the end of the night, driving home, my right ear feels a bit tired. So
are they molds, Matt? Is that what you got done?
No, I didn't get molds. This brand's called Eraser. Just out of the factory, but they fit really well. They're really comfortable. I think I lucked out with these ones. Yeah, you don't want something that hurts your ears, obviously, but yeah, it's cool. And obviously there's in-ear gigs as well. So I guess back to the Hx Stomp. I've got patches for that. Like when I play at church, that's an in-ears thing. The Hx Stomp rocks. Obviously don't need filters plus in-ears.
Yeah.
I could just turn my amp down if I've got in-ears.
Yeah. That's what I like about in-ears. That's one of the things I actually really got to like about wearing in-ears at gigs, is that it filters out everything else. So I did find myself getting much less ringing in my ears when I started using in-ear monitors.
Yeah. It's interesting. I can't do earplugs because I'm mixing as well. So I've got to hear the front of house. I've got to, I mix a lot from PFLs, but I still kind of need to be able to hear. And so earplugs have never worked for me, and pretty much the same reason for in-ears. Yeah. It's really difficult to juggle all those things and jam something in their ear.
Yep, fair enough, absolutely.
And
there is a little bit of a tonal trade-off. Like you do lose a little bit of top end. So I do sound check without them in, so I'm not overly dialing in my amp super bright, just so it feels good for me, because it's not going to sound good.
Yeah, good tip.
But you get used to it, and I kind of like the warmth. Like if I forget to put them in, everything sounds a little harsh.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Boring, but good.
It's all great information. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
All right, and finally the number 5 from Gabor.
For me, I was sort of tossing up between two things, but I think I'm going to go for the one I'm about to say now, which. The suspense. Do you like? I'm, trying.
Yeah.
Do something. No, so I was tossing up between my looper pedal, or this particular pedal, which is the ZVEX Box of Rock. I'm going to go for the ZVEX Box of Rock. I find if I ever do gigs that are gigs with amplifiers, I don't have the luxury of being able to turn up really loud. So when I do direct, like gigs where plug in direct, no amps, where I use amp sims with the Hx Stomp, I don't need the Box of Rock because I can do all that with the Hx Stomp. But going into an amp, I find a Box of Rock has been one of my absolute favorite always on pedals. And I did one gig not long ago. Actually, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to put the Box of Rock on my newest, the Boss pedalboard that I just put together not long ago. I'm going to go without it and to see how I go. And it was really, really, really missing. So the Box of Rock for me, I always set it up as like Matt was saying earlier on, that kind of clean sound that's not totally clean, that has a little bit of grit to it. It's like a broken up clean sound, basically, when you can't turn the amp up loud enough to get a broken up clean sound. And to me, it's one of my favorite kind of pedals that does that kind of sound. And it interacts extremely well with all other drive pedals that run into it. So I always have it very last in the chain. And I find with the Box of Rock, the most important part is you have to have both sides, the drive and the boost on, because the boost gives it a bit of that top end presence that is missing otherwise. Not boosting the volume, just so you turn it off, it's the same volume as your amp, but it just gives it a little bit of drive and a little bit of presence, and then you run other pedals into it, and it just sounds great. It really, to me, really sounds like a cranked, clean amp. And it gives a little bit more mids. I use Fender amps usually when I use amps live, and it gives a little bit more of a mid push as well, because it gives it that Marshall-esque kind of thing, which makes it cut better in a mix as well.
Because the boost side's the SHO, isn't it, on that pedal? Yeah.
And it just has that. It has certain frequencies that it's definitely not a transparent, again, under air quotation marks, transparent clean boost. It definitely adds frequencies, but whatever the frequencies are, it adds the frequencies that are just nice, pleasant frequencies.
Yeah, I had the SHO as an always-on pedal for a long time.
SHO is great.
When I had orange amps and when I used the Marshall Blues Breaker for a few years, that was my always-on pedal. And then I switched to the Exotic Effects EP Booster as my always-on.
Similar sort of thing.
Yes, it's like a preamp.
Yeah. The Super Duper Tune 1, that was another one that was I used for a little while, which is 2 SHO circuits, but with a master volume at the end. The ZVEX, I love ZVEX stuff. That's one of my favorite pedal makers, and just one of those pedals I've used for such a long time. And it was really missing that 1 gig I did without it, and I went, nah, got to have it back.
Yeah, I felt like that with the EP Booster when I first took it off. I went, I'm missing it, and then I just worked with it and decided to leave it off.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that wraps up all our top 5 pieces of gear, essential, fun, or otherwise. Matt, you had another viewer question.
We do. Hey, I'm Ray wants to know what are our favourite sets of strings. Gabor.
Strings?
Yeah.
Okay, so with me it's quite easy, and I've been but maybe possibly somewhat controversial on one of them as well. So I love Hx strings. I've been using Hx strings for I don't know how many years now, since I first sort of discovered them in music shops. On electric guitars, I really like the OptiWebs now, which is the latest sort of thing, which doesn't have that. It doesn't feel like it has a coating on it. And I use 11 to 49 OptiWebs on almost all my guitars now. Some guitars I still use 12s, but Hx doesn't make those. I used to actually buy single strings and make up my own 12. It was 12 to 52 and 12 to on electric. On electric, yeah.
Rock and roll, man.
But actually, because of COVID, it was most of those single strings I used to always buy from overseas because you can't really buy them in Australia. And with COVID, because shipping took so long and was just about impossible for a while, I just bought what I could get in Australia, and I just bought 11 to 49s, and I actually got really used to them now, and I really like 11 to 49s now. I'm just about on pretty much all my guitars in standard tuning. So that's on electrics. And on acoustic, which is what I do most of the time, I use Elixir 12 to 53 polywebs. Now, they're getting harder and harder to find. So you've got the polywebs, the nanowebs. And the nanowebs are the phosphor bronze ones, and the polywebs are 80-20 bronze and have a thicker coating. So polyweb is a thicker coating and the 80-20 bronze. And the nanowebs are the thinner coating, which are phosphor bronze. Now, to me, on acoustic guitar, I don't want the brightness. Everyone goes on about brightness. I don't want brightness. I want the richness, the fullness, the warmth, and the probably 3 times as long lifespan of the polywebs, because I don't like changing strings. But they're getting very hard to find. So Elixir, if anyone from Elixir is listening, I want more polywebs. But that's my strings, yeah. So 12 to 53 on acoustic and 11 to 49 OptiWebs on electrics.
Cool. How about you, Rob?
Well, I kind of misunderstood the question because when it said favourite strings, I thought, string ensembles. So I had November Rain by Guns N' Roses and Tuner in the Brine by Silverchair.
Well, did I understand it wrong? Strings. That's the thing.
Yeah. No, seriously. For me, it'll always be Diodario's. I've gone and tried every string under the sun because I'm like 75 years old and I've been gigging for 20, 30, 40 years.
Good for your age, though.
Yeah, I know.
Really great. And you can still make a flying V look cool.
Yeah.
You and Keith Richards are the 2 75-year-olds who can do it.
That's right. Occasionally you'll get a bad batch of strings. They just, they won't hold their tune. So I do go over and try different things, and I've tried everything over the years. As much as recently I tried the Kurt Mangan nickel, pure nickels. But to me, there's too much tension in those strings, so I went back to Diodario's. And it's funny, the time that I met Joe Satriani, we talked about strings. I might have told this story before, but yeah, he said he did exactly the same thing, went and tried a whole lot, and the consistency and the quality control of Diodario's. And the price. Obviously, Diodario's are on the cheaper side, and I think it's super value for money. I'm so different to Gabor in that I don't like. I'm anti-Elixir. Like I just sorry Elixir, sorry Elixir. Okay, I'm going to give you the reasons why I don't like coated strings. Number one is they don't last any longer. For me. No, from a breaking point of view.
Oh, I never break strings.
So I break strings because I have a heavy right hand. I'm playing like 70s rock. There's lots of guitar solos. So from that point of view, it doesn't make financial sense to buy a string that costs twice as much for it to last just as long. So yeah, every 3 to 4 gigs, if I get to the 4th gig on a set of strings, I'll break an E or a D normally. And on an acoustic...
the G, isn't it always the G string?
On acoustic, I'll break the G. Very rarely on electric, I break a G, but mostly it's Ds and Es and sometimes Bs. But so I'm changing strings all the time. And to do that, coated strings definitely have their place. If you're that player, you don't break strings, they're awesome. If you've got the touch of death, and your strings last 1 gig, then coated strings are a must. And I know a whole bunch of people with a touch of death that would be broke if coated strings didn't exist.
I've got to say, though, I use heavy picks, like 2mm picks. I use these chicken picks that are like thick, really thick picks. I do use heavy strings, though, mind you. I use it as heavier, like 11s and 12s. But I have a really heavy right hand on electric guitar in particular.
Yeah.
But I don't seem to be breaking strings. Maybe elixirs don't break as much?
No, because I went through that thing, and that's why I stopped using them, because I was breaking. Yeah. And the other good thing that coated strings are for is if you play at home and you don't pick it up all that time and you put it down in the case for a couple of weeks and pick it up and play it for a few days and put it down, they're really good for that. For like the weekend player that just doesn't want to change strings too often and wants them to last, they're really good for that. But the other problem I have is that I always know when to change my strings when I run my finger underneath the D string. And if it's all indented, which usually for me after 2 or 3 gigs, all the underside of the string is dented from the frets. They will not tune and intonate properly after that. So they need to get changed. So just to me, Diodario's on electrics, I'm a 10 to 52. And on acoustic, well, on my Yamaha, which is, I think I'm doing 12s to 56s. And on my mini Matins, I do 13s to 56s or 58s, whatever they are. But yeah, all Diodario's. Just
the standard Diodario's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the phosphor bronze for the acoustics, but yeah, just the standard EXLs on the Diodario's, and yeah. And you can get some really good deals on them. Like, I'm still getting them for about, that's one thing, strings have doubled in price in 3 years, right? For a packet, almost. Because I was getting standard Diodario's for $6 to $7 a set. And now they're about $12 a set. So I don't have any guitar-related endorsements, only clothing endorsements. So if anyone wants to send an endorsement my way.
Yes. Elixir. I've been trying to get in touch with you for a while.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. Do you have a clothing endorsement?
I do, yeah. English Laundry Australia, who make men's shirts, but it's the John Lennon collection.
I thought you were going to say the Pottsville op shop.
Yeah, no. Shout out to Steve at English Laundry, who just sent me four shirts from the latest collection. Yeah, they're killer. The latest one's called John, and it has the peace signs on it. So yeah, it's killer, and it works really well with the 70s show. And
oh yeah, it would, yeah.
It's been a really fun relationship, and yeah, I think I've got a dozen of them now or something, and they're in heavy rotation.
Nice.
They're great shirts. People should check them out. They actually sell them at what's the menswear store in Noosa there, the longboard place in the main street? Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. Yeah,
okay, they sell them there. Okay, I've got to go check that out.
Yeah, they sell them there. That's where originally I started buying them from. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell them Rob sent you.
Yeah.
I'll go in here. You, Rob? Do I just go in?
Friend of the show.
Rob.
Friend of the show.
Rob Rhodes. Hardest working man in show business.
Show biz.
Doesn't sound the same when I say it.
No. You need a cape. You need one of the other guys to put a cape on you, and you need to do that.
That's one of my favourite Eddie Murphy SNL skits.
Yeah.
You know, it's too hot in the hot tub. Anyway, Matt, strings.
Yeah. Oh, quick and easy. Diodario XL 110s, 10 to 46 gauge.
Oh, you Diodario people, you make me sick.
I've been
We're just
I've
corporate
been playing
show.
them since before they had the color coded ball ends or something.
Oh, wow,
me
really?
too.
So
Yeah.
old school. So yeah, and preferably tuned to E flat if I can. That's a lot of fun. That's about it. I mean, acoustic 12 to whatever. I don't play much acoustic at all anymore. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
I've started tuning my acoustics down half a step for solos because being so busy, like we're in E for living in the 70s, and 99% of the songs are in original keys. So I just thought, you know what I'm going to do? For my solo gigs, I'm going to tune down to E flat and just make things a little bit easier on those, you know, because it's usually the fourth gig of the week or
it makes such a difference.
It's a huge difference.
I've found since I started tuning down to E flat, by the fourth gig or something in a week, I'm still able to talk and sing. Whereas before, it's amazing how much of a difference it makes. It really, by the end of it, I was straining like crazy in standard tuning. And you just go down that semitone and it just takes the edge off and it makes gigs so much easier.
Yeah, nice. And I reckon a Strat in E flat, just because I'm used to it now, it was weird at first, because I'm used to it, I just love it. If I go back up to E, it's like, I don't know.
I do find lower tunings they just have something to them that just I do prefer E flat and even D standard tuning. It just sounds. It has a certain sound to it that it's just fuller, richer sound.
I've been investigating Fender with a Gibson scale length for that tension and
Fender Tornado. I think the Tornado's got the Gibson scale length.
Yeah.
My Fernandez Strat, so 24 3/4.
About the Silver Sky's 20, like a little bit. It's in between, isn't it? The PRS scale length, in between Gibson and Fender.
I think so.
PRS is 25, I think. Silver Sky might be a little different.
It's highly innovative, though.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
I love it. The memes, all the memes.
Yeah.
I think that
Silver Sky 25.5. It's saying.
There you go.
But at PRS is 25. Yeah.
But I think the three tuners aside are going to help with the tension. I struggle with Fender tension.
It's gonna be different.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why Mayer flipped the PRS headstock so the G string had a bit more string length on it for tension reasons. So interesting. All right, I reckon we're out of here. I think great show, Rob. I love that idea of going through our must-have gig things, and we're playing like you guys playing a lot. I'm playing every weekend, and I'm the slow coach. So, this is stuff that we've all found is working for us in the real world. So, kind of fun to chat about it and realize that, you need that whammy pedal. It doesn't matter what you're playing. Get a whammy out.
Distortion, clean sound, doesn't matter. Whammy.
Whammy! Oh, I'm going back to Anchorman. Whammy!
That's what he was talking about.
Yeah, it must
exactly.
All
right, Gabor, you've been awarded the Hugh Jackman Award of rock and roll with your multiple jobs as
he's a quadruple threat.
He's a quadruple threat. Yeah. There's so many threats. You just give up. You just surrender.
Especially all the theatre stuff I'm doing. Being the greatest showman alive.
Where can we find out about this, Gabor?
Well, you can find me most days on Broadway somewhere.
Yeah.
No, I have a YouTube channel called the SuperFunAwesomeHappyTime Pedal Show. Myself and my friend Alex. And we do demos of pedals and amps and guitars and all that sort of fun stuff. And if you want to hear me talk even more, and if you want to look at my gorgeous face while I talk, go to the YouTube channel and check it out.
Highly recommended, people.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Nice. And Rob Rhodes, the hardest working man in showbiz.
Well, yeah, everything is at roadtripent.com. So RHODETRIPENT.com. There's a gig guide page there. You can find wherever I am. And yeah, if you need to serve me with papers, you know where to find me.
Good to know. Noted. All right. Hey, thanks everyone for tuning in to the Guitar Speak podcast and our iconic series. Great to have you with us. And I always like to reflect quite somberly on the epic words that Michael Schenker told me when I interviewed him back for episode number 150. And he said to me,
"Keep rocking, keep on rocking."
He said, "Keep on rocking. Keep on rocking indeed." All right. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
See you guys.